Do you remember the first time you felt truly broken? Not just a scrape on your knee, but a crack deep inside. Maybe it was a word someone said that landed with the weight of a stone, or a silence where you expected love, an empty space that echoed with failure. The first instinct, the one we all learn, is to hide it, to pull the edges of the wound together, cover it with a smile, and pretend the damage isn't there. We become experts at camouflage. We learn to build a personality over the crack, a smooth, polished surface for the world to see. We tell ourselves, and everyone else, I'm fine, because in the world we were taught to navigate, a wound is a weakness. It's a sign of defect, a reason to be set aside. We look at others who seem so whole, so undamaged, and we believe that's the goal. A life without scars, a story without any torn pages. We spend years, sometimes decades, guarding these secret, broken places, terrified that if anyone sees them, they'll see us for what we think we are. Incomplete, flawed, not good enough. But what if that was never the point? What if the entire way we were taught to see our own pain is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of how life and how we are actually built? Think about it. We admire old trees with gnarled branches, twisted by wind and time. We are drawn to voices that have a bit of gravel in them, a hint of a story lived. We treasure objects with history, a chip on a teacup that reminds us of a grandparent, a faded photograph. In everything else, we recognise that character comes from the journey, from the imperfections. Yet for ourselves, we demand an impossible, sterile perfection. The great paradox is that the very things we try to hide are the source of our depth. The moments that felt like the end of the world were actually the beginning of a new one. The wound is the event, but the scar is where a new part of you is born. It's the evidence of healing. And healing is not about returning to how you were before. You can never go back. Healing is about becoming something new, something more. The architecture of our own being requires these moments of pressure and release. A bone, when it breaks and heals correctly, becomes stronger at the point of the break. A forest that burns down gives way to new, more diverse life that couldn't have grown in the shade of the old trees. This isn't a flaw in the design. This is the design. Life doesn't want you to be a smooth, featureless stone. It wants you to have texture. It wants you to have a story etched into your skin and your soul. That place where you were hurt the most. Look closer. That's not a pit of shame. It's a well. It might be dark, yes, but it's also where your deepest waters are. It's the origin point of your compassion. Before that heartbreak, could you truly understand the quiet sorrow in a friend's eyes? Before that failure, did you really know what it meant to get back up? To find a strength you never knew you possessed? Your wounds excavate you. They dig into the hardened soil of your assumptions and your ego, and they create space. And it's in that new raw space that something else can finally grow. Empathy, resilience, a quiet wisdom that doesn't come from books or lectures, but is earned through survival. We think the goal is to patch the hole, to make it look like it was never there. But the real transformation happens when you stop seeing it as a hole and start seeing it as an opening. The crack is where the light gets in. It's the entryway for a deeper understanding of yourself and the world. That pain you experienced wasn't random. It was a precise strike, delivered to the exact part of your fortified wall. that needed to come down. It was a call to attention, a demand to stop living on the surface. And so, the scar is not a sign of damage, it's a map. It's a detailed, intricate map of your own personal territory. Every line on it is a road you walked. It shows where you faced the dragon, where you crossed the desert, where you found a hidden spring. To anyone else, it might look like a simple mark. But to you, it's a library of knowledge. It holds the memory of your own strength. It reminds you of what you can endure. It's a navigational chart for the future. When you encounter a similar landscape in another person, you recognize it instantly. You don't need to ask for directions. You know the terrain because you have a map of it etched right into you. This is why you can sit with a friend in their darkest moment and not offer cheap platitudes. Your presence is enough because your own healed wounds speak a silent language of understanding. They broadcast a quiet message. I know this place. You're not alone here. And I know the way out. This isn't a superpower. It's a reclaimed part of your own story. You're not wise in spite of your wounds. You are wise because of them. They are the curriculum of your soul, the tuition paid in tears and struggle. And the graduation isn't a return to an old, unbroken self. It's the quiet, powerful acceptance of the new person who stands in their place, holding a map that no one else could possibly have. It's time to stop hiding the map. It's time to learn how to read it, because it doesn't just show you where you've been. It shows you where you and everyone you meet can go. By the way, our shared space of light and awareness is on its way to 100,000 people. Thank you to everyone who subscribes and brings this moment closer. So how does this actually happen? How does a point of pain, a moment of breaking, become a source of sight? The mechanics are surprisingly simple, but we rarely see them because we're too busy trying to run from the initial shock. A wound works by forcing you to stop. Your life, your forward momentum, your carefully constructed plans and routines, it all comes to a screeching halt. That promotion you were chasing, the social events on your calendar, the endless scroll on your phone, all of it suddenly becomes noise. It loses its meaning in the face of this raw, central ache. You're forced to turn inward, not because of some spiritual decision, but out of necessity. There's nowhere else to go. This forced stillness is the most uncomfortable and the most crucial stage. It's like a city during a total blackout. All the usual distractions are gone. There's only silence, darkness, and you. And in that silence, you are forced to confront the actual architecture of your life. Without the fancy lighting, you start to see the cracks in the foundation, the things you've been ignoring. And then the rebuilding begins. Not with the old materials, because they've been proven to be weak. You have to find something else. And this is where the magic happens. You dig deeper, and you find materials you never even knew you had. You discover a vein of resilience you didn't know you possessed, the simple ability to endure one more day. You find a quiet compassion, first for yourself, because you have to learn to be gentle with your own brokenness. And from the rubble, a strange clarity emerges. You start to see what actually matters. The love of a true friend, the feeling of sun on your skin, the simple act of breathing. The wound didn't just break you, it broke you open, forcing a renovation from the inside out. This new structure, built from these deeper materials, resonates differently with the world. Your wound becomes a kind of tuning fork. Before the break, You might have heard about someone else's pain and thoughts. That's a shame. It was an abstract concept. But now, you don't just hear it, you feel it. You're sitting in a cafe, and you see the subtle way a man won't meet his partner's eyes. You feel the tension, the unspoken history, because a similar silence once lived at your own dinner table. You're talking to a colleague who is being just a little too cheerful, a little too loud, and you recognise it for what it is, a fragile mask, identical to the one you used to wear. You've become sensitive to a vibration you were once deaf to. This isn't a psychic ability, it's recognition. It's like learning a new language. Once you understand the language of loss or betrayal or loneliness, you start to hear it, being spoken everywhere, often in whispers, in the spaces between words. You can offer a kind of presence to people that is more powerful than any advice, because your entire being communicates. I see you. I recognise this landscape. You don't have to explain. Your pain has calibrated you. It has given you a new sensory input, a way of perceiving the hidden emotional reality that flows beneath the surface of everyday life. You're no longer just looking at the world. You're tuned into it. Ultimately, the wisdom that comes from your wounds isn't a lesson you learn, like a fact in a textbook. It's a sense you develop. Think of it like learning to see in the dark. When you're suddenly plunged into blackness, you panic at first, you stumble. You can't see the familiar shapes of the room. But if you stay there long enough, and you force yourself to be still, your eyes begin to adjust. You start to make out faint outlines. Your other senses get sharper. You hear the house settle. You feel the draft from under the door. You learn to navigate not with your dominant sense of sight, but with a whole new array of perceptions. This is what a wound does to you. It removes the bright light of comfort, certainty, and control. And in that darkness, your other senses, your intuition, your empathy, your gut feelings, are forced to become incredibly sharp. You learn to trust that feeling in your stomach that tells you a situation isn't right, even when everything looks fine on the surface. You learn to recognise a genuine connection, not by what a person says, but by the feeling of peace you have in their presence. This wisdom is the ability to navigate reality using these deeper senses. It's the byproduct of having had your normal vision taken away. You stop relying on the map that society gave you and start trusting the compass that was forged inside you in the fire of your own pain. Your wounds are what give you your eyes. They are not a sign that you're broken. They are proof that you're becoming someone who can finally, truly see. If this video changed something in you, write in the comments, "My wound is my wisdom." Write it as your promise. Nobody